everybody. Welcome back to Cooking with Max. And here we are from the Eye of the Commonwealth, Southbridge, Massachusetts, which is home to the former AO, and it's home to local cooking shows, and it's home to some of the best tap water to be found anywhere in the entire country, and it's home to me, and it's summertime right now. And so what we're doing today, we're going to talk about some foods we're going to cook mainly on the grill, and they include some nice pork ribs that I just picked up at the Bunny, and we got some nice corn on the cob that we're gonna fix up real well, just special a la Cooking with Max, and we're gonna put that on the grill as well. And we're also we're gonna prepare a nice rotini 3-colored pasta salad made with veggies and stuff, so that nobody accuses us here in Mantown of just being cavemen and eating nothing but meat. So we're going to have that salad as well, just to show that we're actually civilized. And also what we're going to do is we're going to make some burgers, but they're going to be a little bit fancy, and we're going to roll some ingredients in them, and we're going to put some blue cheese in one of them, call it a French burger, and we're going to put some feta cheese and maybe some ground olives into another one with the onions, and we're going to call that a Greek burger, even though of course the burger is an all-American thing. And we'll go out and grill those on our grill as well here in the summertime on Cooking with Max. So we've got all this stuff to do, and we're going to get started right now by starting a big rack of pork ribs, and it's the kind of thing that requires a little bit of preparation ahead of time. And so what I'm going to do now is start that process. And so what I have here in my nice dry bag, I just took it out of my refrigerator, is a 4-pound bag of pork ribs, and they've been stored for a while now. We're just getting them stored ahead of our show, but you can see what it looks like. And there it is, a nice big chunk of meat. And that's here, and that's part of our one of our meats that we're showing today. But what we're going to do with that meat is we're going to put a rub on the outside of it. And what that does, it's going to impart its flavor right into our meat, and we're going to make the rub right now on Cooking with Max, and I'm going to show you how. And then we're going to put it in the fridge for 4 hours minimum, or preferably overnight, and then that'll allow all that flavor to impart itself right there into that nice pork rib, and it'll add to the goodness that we'll have later on after we cook it. So what I'm going to do is prepare the rub to put on our meat, and what I have here is a bowl. And what I'm going to do is just add the ingredients that we're going to need for our meat, and these ingredients include the following. You've got some nice ground cumin, and we're going to put a tablespoon of that into our big bowl. And we're going to take some ground coriander, a tablespoon of that, and that's going to go into our recipe. Sometimes I have pretty generous tablespoons, as any long-term viewers know. Sometimes my tablespoons are pretty thick. Now we've got some nice celery salt, and that's part of our recipe too, and that's going to be part of our rub for our pork ribs, and we'll put some of that on there. Boy, it's a special day here today in New England. Yesterday was Jason Bay's first game, and anybody who's a Red Sox fan knows that Jason Bay has the unenviable task of replacing Manny Ramirez in left field, and that's going to be tough, a tall order for anyone, but the whole Manny saga is over, and I'm sure everyone's tired of talking about it. But for a long-term Mantown baseball fan such as myself, it is a passing in Red Sox history. Manny's off to the Dodgers. Anyway, here's our tablespoon of celery salt that's going to go in our rub as well. I wonder about Manny, if they're going to make him cut his hair out there, if Joe Torre's going to make him get a haircut. All right, now we're going to add a little sesame seed, not too much, just a bit. And now, 2 tablespoons of ground pepper, already ground some. I'm going to ground another tablespoon in there, and of course everybody claims that when you ground it fresh like that, it's so much better, and I always go along with that. So there you got 2 tablespoons of ground pepper. Now, the ingredient that you can adjust for your rub is the one that contains the chili powder. And I have here, that I picked up down at the Ocean State Job Lot just today, and their copious and cheap spice rack that they have down there, is some Cajun spice seasoning. Now the recipe with the 4 pounds of ribs calls for ½ a cup of your chili powder, whatever you're going to use, either chipotle, which I've used on another piece today, or there's a style that's called New Mexico chili powder. You can put that, but I found this down there and I'm going to use it. And it calls for ½ a cup. And this is the main ingredient in your rub. Now I'm going to warn you right now that anything this potent with this much chili in it is going to be hot, hot, hot. So half a cup is about like that. And so we'll put that in there. Now we're going to stir them all together in preparation for when we're going to put it onto our meat. I'm going to use my fingers. Anytime you're handling meat like that, anytime you're handling beef, you have to wash your hands, of course. And see how that's all blending in? And that's going to go right on top of our beautiful roast. Well, that's pretty good. Not too bad. Okay, let me get my roast from over here. I mean the roast. I keep calling it a roast. It's actually ribs. Roast is for winter. Right now it's summer. There we go. Put it right in my clean surface like that. And all I'm going to do is put this over the top like so. I'm going to use my hands. Unless you're afraid of your fingies. If you're afraid of your fingies, you can put on some cook gloves if you like. You see how I'm putting that in there like that? And that's going to get a little more here. About that much, see? There we go. Let me flip them on over. Get this side here. Look at that. Oh, isn't that pretty? Gonna tuck it into all the little nooks and crannies like that. Now this stuff is very potent. All that chili is gonna give it a nice outdoor pizzazz flavor that we want. We want some zippity doo-dah on our meat. That's what we're going for with this nice pork ribs. So anyway, that's good enough. We put it in there now. We're gonna put it back in the bag, like so. And now, the recipe calls that you store this for at least 4 hours in your fridge or overnight. So we're going to do just that with this one. We're going to seal it nice and clean like so. Get out some of the air. I'm using a big dry bag for the purpose. Oop, let me get some more air out. And open that up again and burp this thing. It's not quite like burping a baby. You're burping it like so. Alright, that's good. Now it's ready for the fridge. Off it goes for at least 4 hours, as I said, and then we'll revisit it later on when we're ready for the next step, which is to put it in the 200-degree oven for 3.5 to 4 hours, which is what you do to prepare it for your final step, which is to put it on your charcoal grill versus your gas grill. And I use a gas grill like everyone else for the convenience, but a charcoal grill will add a little bit of essence to this beautiful roast. It'll make it even more of a beautiful thing. The oven part, the long slow cook like that, will make these ribs nice and tender and easy to pull off the bone because it's summertime and your guests, they don't feel like working any harder than they have to. They just want to eat your delicious recipe. So let's put it away now and it'll get all set for the next step in its cooking process. Oh, hi there, and you're back again. And also I have here in front of me, I have more pork ribs. But in addition to doing the chipotle one that we already took out of the oven and that we are preparing for our charcoal barbecue, I also wanted to try a different recipe since we're cooking. And what I'm doing here is just hacking my way through this bone any way I can. I've got a serrated edged knife, and this is the same roast, but I want it to be broken into bits of rib like this. And generally, when you're doing this, you can find the seam along the bone, and it can be tough and it can be arduous, but it's in there somewhere. You can make your way through it, like I'm doing right here. Oop, that's bone, that's bone. There's a soft spot. Not cutting your finger off as usual on our show. We tend to frown on that kind of activity. And if your serrated knife doesn't work, you get his big friend right here, which may give it a little more oomph to make its way through. And you know it can be done because I've already done it right here. And there we go. There's a spot. There we go. No, maybe not. Up, 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 up. Up. No. He's being a stubborn. This last bit of rib here, he's gonna be stubborn. There we go. Meet my little friend. Anyway, now we've got pork ribs. And what we're going to do with these, you could put them on the grill like that if you wanted to cook them for about 2 hours on real slow, but we don't want to wait that long. What we're going to do is speed the process along, and we're going to put these in boiling water and sort of blanch perhaps, but suck some of the grease out and pre-cook it and try to get the bone warm, because the key to cooking anything on a grill or any meat like that has a bone like this or chicken is to cook that bone too. So we're going to dump these in our boiling salted water for about 20 minutes just to get them pre-cooked, like so. And here is our promised boiling water. And our ribs go in like this, being careful not to singe our little fingers on the way. Like that. Maybe I'll use a spoon. And that'll start the cooking process. Note the time, 20 minutes later. Let me turn the heat down so we don't splash over the top while we're doing something else. Now while these guys are getting pre-cooked, we're going to prepare the sauce that we're going to put on them as part of the recipe. What it consists of is, we're going to take 1/2 cup of honey, like so. Oh, nice thick honey, huh? And to that, we're going to add 1/2 cup of dark molasses that's just so thick and sweet and molasses flavored, and add so much to that pork. Look at that, beautiful, huh? That looks like a Guinness almost. So dark. Now it's going to mix in with that honey, both so very sweet. To that, we've got 1/2 cup of brown sugar. We're going to pour right in there like that. And then to that, we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds, just to give it, those won't blend in, they'll just stay whole like that, and when your guest is biting his pork rib later on, maybe he'll get a nice cooked sesame seed on the edge and he'll recognize the flavor. And then to that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of ground ginger, just to give it that kind of flavor. To our sweet, we're going to add some ginger. Alright, that's what we've got, everything right there. Now I'll take a fork here and stir it up. And again, our ribs are back there boiling. They're getting ready for this too. Oh, this is just so thick, which is just what we want. Oh, nice thickness. Oh, it smells so sweet too. It's going to stick to those ribs. Now, later on, when we go to the grill and we cook those ribs, we're going to cook them probably for about 15 minutes. But the whole time we're cooking them, we're not cooking them with this on it. We're only going to add this glaze here over the last maybe 2 minutes. So just give it just long enough to cook on your ribs, but not so long that it's going to burn on there, because we don't want that. The ribs are cooked just fine without the glaze, but you don't want it to burn onto your ribs. Now that is just thick, it's sweet and delicious. It looks so good. Okay, that's a big part of your recipe right there. And that you apply in globs and smooth it out. Alright, very good. We'll leave that right there. We'll go back here and we will check on our boiling ribs to make sure they're not causing a big mess. Oh, they're coming along famously. Yeah, that bone's going to be cooking, and that's going to be done, and we're going to put them on the grill for the final tasting. But those will have to wait now for about 14 more minutes or so, and then we'll check in on them and we'll continue, and we'll be right back. Okay everyone, we've allowed our pork ribs to sit in the refrigerator for 4 hours or overnight. In our case it was 4 hours. And now they're looking really good. They've had a chance to steep themselves in our rub. And here they are right now. I just took them out of the refrigerator. And here's our nice 4-pound packet of pork ribs, like so. And there's that nice rub that we created earlier that's had the opportunity to stay on the surface like that and become part of that meat. The flavors all blending in there. And it's going to give it a nice tangy, spicy flavor. Now in order to cook it, which is the second step we have to do in the oven for 3.5 to 4 hours, what we have to do is wrap it in a double layer of aluminum foil, which we're going to do right now. And then the oven back here is preheating to 200, and you let it sit there for its time, and then that delicious concoction has an opportunity to bake in there even further prior to the time that we put it on our charcoal grill. So to do that, we're going to take our aluminum and we figure out like so that it's about that long, and we need double aluminum on both sides. So I'm looking at that, keep falling about that. I'm going to eyeball this like so. A nice long piece for our convention here. Whoop, see if I can keep it off the floor. And I did. Okay, shiny side in. Gonna take our meat like so. Start folding it like this so that we get a double layer of aluminum foil as is called for in our recipe. Just like that. Sort of like folding a blanket. And there we got a double layer right there. Oh, I got too much. I'm going to tear that off then. We don't need that extra. This here can be recycled though, just in case you didn't know. And that goes like so. And now what you do with this nice rack of pork ribs is you crimp the edges like this. And you see how I'm doing that? And that way the steam will stay inside so that when it's becoming fall off the bone tender, this is what helps it to do that. And it helps keep that flavor in. I mean, there's going to be a little steam released, but just not very much. You want to minimize that. And there's your nice roast ready to go in the oven. And you don't need anything fancy in the oven. You just put it in something there that isn't going to leak too badly. And this won't leak that badly either. So I have a nice cookie sheet right here. And this is here. And we take our little packet of pork goodness that we've already created like so. Followed along with how it got there. Like this. And into our preheated 200-degree oven for between 3.5 and 4 hours before the next step. Alright, well here we are again, and on Cooking with Max, and as we already started, we boiled our ribs. We took a few of them, we at great labor cut them up and got them all split up and everything, and we're going to put those on the grill as well, but with a slightly different recipe. Unlike the rub, we made a nice kind of not a marinade per se, but a coating that's sticky and sweet and very thick, and we boiled our chopped ribs over here, and they're all done now. And we're going to drain them now and prepare them to cook as well. So I'm going to go get them over here. It's been about 20 minutes. They've been sitting on the stove for a little while on no heat. And I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like. See how much oil you got floating on top. So that's all the stuff that you're not going to eat by doing it this way. Of course, you know, some people would claim that you lose a little of the flavor when all that goes down the sink. But either way, it's quicker this way. You know you're going to cook the bone. It's a lot more fail-proof if you do it like this. If you cook it raw on the grill, it takes some time and you got to cook it low. So anyway, I'm pouring it into the strainer right now. Big chunks of man meat right there. Nice pork ribs that are reboiled up. They're virtually done cooking. Not quite though. Now, here's what I'm going to do. This may be considered blasphemy by some people, but I'm just going to rinse them with hot water real quick, just to get a little more of that stuff off. And that's it. Now they're ready to go. Ooh, that's pretty hot. Alright, I'm going to put it like so. Just take my strainer right on out of there, like this. My nice ribs, I'll put them over here. And I have a nice Corelle bowl to put them in, and I'm going to just plunk them in there. They look a little gray right now, but you'll cook them on the grill and they'll perk right up. And again, like I told you, these will go on the charcoal grill with the other meat. And they'll cook until they're done. And you kind of eyeball it, right? There shouldn't be any pink blood or anything like that coming out. You want your ribs to be cooked. You don't want to overcook them though. You don't want to overcook them. You don't want to overcook chicken. It just turns it dry and lathery. But I think we've got a ways to go. And we'll put these on there. And then for the last 2 minutes of the cook cycle for these pre-boiled ribs on our charcoal, we're going to put on this here, the concoction that we made earlier that includes dark molasses and honey, and there's the little sesame seeds floating on top, and it had some brown sugar in it as well. And then for that Asian flair, kaboom, we put a little bit of ginger in there as well, as I described before. And so in the last 2 minutes of cooking these ribs on your charcoal grill, you're going to drizzle that over it so that it gets on there and it becomes a nice sticky, gooey, flavorful mess when your guests pick it up with their napkin and eat it later on. Alright, well here we are at the stove, and we have on the top burner the water which is going to cook our tricolor rotini, which we're going to use for our pasta salad to go along with our ribs, and we're kind of multitasking because we're doing that at the same time. I'll put those in a second. But in the meantime, it's been almost 4 hours, about 3 hours and 40 minutes that our chipotle rubbed pork ribs are in the oven, and they have to come out now. They've been on 200 degrees with the seasoning that we talked about, and this particular is the chipotle one that I got, and now they're all ready to come out for the next step of the cooking. So I'm going to open this up, and we had wrapped them in the nice aluminum foil to seal that in there and to get the nice juices cooking back on itself. And here it is, our little creation that now we're going to bring over here, and we're going to let this rest for about 10 minutes. And from here, we take it right to the grill. And by doing it this way with a nice pork rib like this, and we kept the ribs together, we could have cut them, but in this case we kept them together, we're going to get a nice pull off the bone tenderness for these ribs, and they're going to be nice and juicy. And because of that chipotle chili flavor and all the other flavors that we put in there, they've saturated into that whole meaty mess, and they're going to be just delicious. But the last step awaits us, which is the grill, the charcoal grill, which will impart a little further flavor and a final kind of texture that will come from cooking it there. And we'll go to there next. Nice 3-color. You can use just plain yellow. Tastes the same. Actually, it tastes a little different. I think the green one here is probably spinach, and the orange one, I don't know if it's carrot or not. It may have a different flavor. I really don't know. Anyway, bonsoir. Off the noodles go into our water to get boiled up and soft. And into there, a lot of chefs will put a little bit of olive oil. Which I have right here. Just a drizzle. I don't even know if it makes any difference. When you're from this area, the water that comes out of your tap is soft water anyway. I think part of the reason for adding oil is to soften your water, but our water's already soft. But I don't know, maybe I'm just superstitious. Maybe I just keep adding it because that's what I've been told my whole cooking life. Well, alright then, we've given our meat an opportunity to settle down. It's about 15 minutes out of the oven now, and boy does it smell good. And as you recall, at the same time we put on our 3-colored rotini that we were going to use in our pasta salad. So I'll go over there and do that real quick, and then we'll have a look at our meat and see how good it looks. It sure does smell delicious. We'll get our pasta. I got it all, it's all nice now, a little bit al dente, not too much. But I'm going to strain that for now. Just put it right there in that strainer. Just drain off all that water. Nice. Oh, it looks good. You can see over here in the back here, I've got several of the other ingredients that I'm going to be using in my pasta salad, and we'll rinse those off in a little minute when we're doing that part of it. But for now, I want to get back to our nice ribs, our nice pork ribs, and they smell good. And let's have a look at what they look at now. They've cooled off, so they're easy to handle. And you see just how pretty those are. They really, truly do fall off the bone tender. Let's take a little knife right here, and I'm just going to use a butter knife. And let's see how much we can pull that meat off of there with just a butter knife. And you see, it's pretty tender. It's not quite fall off the bone tender though, but it's definitely tender, and it definitely looks good. And it's fully cooked as well. The part that we're going to do, the very final part of cooking these pork ribs up, is that we're going to put them on our charcoal heater. Now that the charcoal heater is out there getting all warmed up, it is very hot temperature, and the flavor that the charcoal adds as well is going to finish these off. We're going to go about 7 or 8 minutes on either side. Just put that whole thing right on top of our grill, and just after 7 minutes, plunk it on there, get the other side, and then it's done. We take it off of there, and we'll just hold it down and take a knife and just cut off nice big meaty chunks for our meat-eating man friends here in Mantown, and they'll all get a little sample of it with that beautiful chipotle flavor that's been baked in, and all the other special secret to everyone but you ingredients that I used when I started marinating this meat some time ago. But now that this is at a nice temperature, and by the way, this part of it, baking it in the oven for 3.5 to 4 hours, is something that you could have done ahead of time. You could have had this nice big piece of meat ready to go, so that all you had to do was put it on the grill for the last 15 minutes if you wanted to. But as it happened, I just took this out of the grill and allowed it to cool off for enough time. But I'm going to put it on, get rid of this aluminum, and I'm going to put it on this nice glass surface here that I'm just going to use it to transport it to the grill. And then later on, when I'm ready to serve it, I'll cut it into pieces that are easier to serve up. And there it is. Look at all that grease that we are going to be doing without, since we pre-cooked it the way we did. And we certainly don't need that, although it does smell good. And that's it. So the next step is we'll whip up our nice pasta salad that goes with our meat, because we're not just going to eat meat, even though sometimes we're tempted to in Mantown. And we're going to also take our pork ribs out there to the Barbie and put them on there for the coup de grace, the final step. And we'll see you back then. Alright, welcome back to Cooking with Max, and here we are in Southbridge, Massachusetts, like we always are on Cooking with Max, right here in the Shetucket-Quinebaug corridor, which is home to the great blue heron for the last 14 million years and other things as well. And if you're from Lexington, Kentucky, you certainly can't say that you're from the Shetucket-Quinebaug corridor, but here you are in Southbridge, and you are. But besides all that, we're going to make our pasta salad right now, and we have our ingredients right back here, and we're going to get started on that because we have to refrigerate it before we serve it. So the first thing we're going to do is take our 3 cups of 3-colored rotini that we boiled already to be al dente, and they're right here. And we're going to fish out 3 cups. This is a very easy recipe for all you men out there that are like to cook in a hurry, and they like to cook and entertain, but they don't want to spend too much time cooking. You see that? That's about 3 cups of it, and that's going in our salad. I have some extra here of it, and what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to put it in this bowl, and maybe I'll come up with another idea later on to use that. Some people just like plain pasta, and I might add a little butter and some pepper and a little salt and maybe a little lime or lemon juice and put that out there and see who likes it. But for now, we'll work on our pasta salad. And again, it's very simple. There's our 3 cups of rotini. And to that, we're going to add some nice veggies, and I got a red pepper here, and we're going to pour it out like so. Got this down there today at my favorite store in town here in Southbridge. Rinse it out, get rid of some of those seeds, cold water, like this. We're going to dice this up. This goes in the compost like it usually does. I'll get that one ready. I've got the green one here as well, and that's going to be part of our recipe. We'll wash that out too right now. Get rid of that big bag of seeds right there, and just use the flesh of this beautiful bell pepper. That to the compost. Let me rinse this off with cold water, like so. You're going to end up with about a half a cup of diced of each of these, which is how much you want in this recipe. Get that. Take our very sharp knife, like so. I'm going to cut it into rings like this, and then I'm going to start to dice it. It's very good. When you have a sharp knife like this, it's very easy to do, but don't cut off your fingers. Now Manny's going out there to LA, and you know I'm from California, and they're a little laid back out there, but he's going to be playing for Joe Torre, and he's a no-nonsense kind of guy, and I'm just wondering how well he does out there. And the West right now is full of weak teams, and a big hitter like that can make a difference. So you never know for Manny's sake, and he was one of my favorites while he was here. But I hope he lifts that team to the West, and once they're in the playoffs, anything could happen. Good luck, Manny. Alright, cutting these up like so. Get the big chunks out like that. I'm going to put that in with the noodles. It's about a half a cup. I'm going to get our red one here. There we go. Nice rings like that. Get that thing cut up. Nice pretty color to it. Of course, it's got that nice sweet peppery flavor. And really very good for you too. Like all peppers. Ooh, there's a spot we don't want. We'll take that out. You don't want our guests eating that. Let's see if I can do this in an efficient way. Again, see how I angle my knife a little bit? Because I'm just so afraid of hurting myself. Now slow it down here. All those great cooks out there that can just zip right through it, I envy them. They're able to do that so fast. That's why most of them have 9 fingers, I think. That's my theory anyway. There you go. There's about a half a cup. That goes in there too. Let me clear all this out of the way now. To our compost. Right there. Now we got a nice red onion here. And we're going to thinly slice this one. So we're going to cut off the butt ends like so. Get rid of those. Get rid of that top layer with our knife like that. Top 2 layers. And we're looking for a half a cup of slivered red onion, which is what we're going to get here. If you slivered this whole red onion, you'd have about 2 cups, so we're not going to use the whole thing. Get those out. Okay? Slivered, I think, means something like this. Very thin cut. Just like that. Nice and thin. These are a tart onion. They have sulfur, a high quantity. If you buy a Vidalia onion from Georgia, they've been hybridly bred so that they're sweeter and less sulfuric. And it's the sulfur that makes you cry. So I don't mind crying over an onion. I mean, they're just so tasty. Anyway, that's just about a half a cup right there of slivered onion. And I'm going to cut this in half like this. I don't want whole slivers in there, but I do want big chunks. So there goes my half a cup or so in there like that. I'll put this over here. I may use this onion for something else, so I'll just save that. Alright, so we got that. Now we're going to put a half a cup of this Parmesan and Romano grated cheese, which is going to add a little zippity-doo-dah to our salad right now. I'm going to put a half a cup of that in there. Like so. Put that in there like that. Now, we're going to go with 2 cups of broccoli florets. And a broccoli floret is a fancy way of saying the very top part of broccoli. And I've got them right over here. I'm going to take the strainer that had my pasta rinse it out. And I already cleaned all my other produce, but I needed the strainer to clean this one, so I saved it until I was done with the pasta. And this goes right in here. And I'm going to spray it off real quick. Get any bugs from the farm off of there. We don't want those in our salad. Oh, no, we don't. I hope Manny kills them out there, by the way. I love Manny. He got a little odd at the end, but I just loved him. What a great hitter. He could sit on a pitch longer than anybody. And I followed baseball a long time here in Mantown. Longer than anyone I've ever seen. Manny knew until the last possible minute whether or not he should swing, and he had that opportunity. He sat back and whap. I hope he kills him on the West Coast. But go Jason Bay, eh? Anyway, back to our florets. We've rinsed these off. We need 2 cups of them. We're taking the very top of this broccoli like this. See that? I'm going to pull it apart. Like this. And that's a floret. And these are uncooked. This is raw broccoli. Which is what I love. I love raw broccoli. That's a big piece. We'll break it up a bit. Like that. It's not floret enough. We just want the very, very, very tips in our salad. Like that. Just like that. Oh, aren't those pretty? Alright, there we go. We got about 2 cups now. Yeah, okay, we'll put this aside. Alright. Now, to this magic, we add a cup of Italian dressing. Like so. And you blend it all together with your wooden spoon. You don't want to bruise your stuff, so you kind of roll it in. You don't want to spill it all over your floor and have to clean it up later, so you're very careful. And look at all those nice colors. You've got that beautiful red pepper. You've got the 3 different types of pasta there, the rotini pasta, and they add to the color. And look at those onions are starting to break apart as you stir it. And those are good too. I love onion. Nice red onion like that. It's very good. And look at how nice and colorful. And we're going to put it in the fridge, and it's going to cool right off. And it's going to make a very nice complement to the meats that we're fixing up right now that go along with our fest. So we've stirred this in. It's just that simple. Over the top, I'm going to put just a little touch of ground pepper, just a bit. Your guests can add more if they want. I'm not going to put any salt because they're allowed to figure out how much they want on their own food. I'm going to cover that with a nice saran wrap and put it in the fridge, and it'll be nice and fresh and ready to go when we're ready to break out all the other finished products for our meal for our friends here in the summertime in Southbridge, Mass. Hello everyone, welcome back to Cooking with Max, right here in the same home of Joe Capello Park, and the home of Henry Street Field, and the home of La Valley Machine, and the bosom of the Quinebaug River, and the home of Panda Garden, and so many other swell things right here in Southbridge, Massachusetts. And so in addition to cooking our ribs, we're also going to cook something else today. We're going to make some burgers, but they're going to be kind of special burgers because I'm going to make them ethnic. I'm going to have 3 different kinds anyway, and all I'm going to do is take some nice ground beef and put some other ingredients in it to give it a little extra flair in our summertime picnic. And so right here, I've got some nice ground beef, and I'm going to take some of it. This is 84% by the way, which measures the meat to fat content, and I picked it up at the Bundy just today. And I'm going to use my bare fingers like I normally do, and I'm going to grab some of it like so. And I'm going to turn this into homemade burgers, which we're going to continue to cook on our grill along with our charcoal. We took some burger there, we're going to add a little pepper, like so. And to our burger, no matter what kind of the 3 flavors we're making, we're going to add some more of this red onion, which is left over from our pasta salad. I'm going to cut that into small pieces real quick too. like so. Nice little bite size, and I'm going to roll that right into that hamburger. Looking like about 1/3 of a cup of the red onion. That's going to add some nice flavor to all those varieties. And I'm going to introduce that into my ground beef, and this is going to be used for all 3 of the different types of hamburger that I'm going to make. So I'm going to just push it in there. I'm going to try to handle my beef as little as possible. You don't want to just squish it in there with all that you've got. You just kind of poke that onion in and knead it over, sort of like if you were working even some kind of flour pastry concoction or a pizza shell or something like that, or a bread. And there you have it. It's not too much, not too well pushed in. And there it goes. Okay, now that's your base burger. I'm going to stick that over there. Now, to make that especially good, to go along with your ribs and the other things you're going to cook on your charcoal grill, with this burger, I'm going to add, in this case, I'm going to add some feta cheese, which I'm going to work right into the recipe. And that we're going to call a nice Greek burger. We're going to take the burger part, which is all American, and we're going to make it Greek by adding a little feta. And in addition to the feta, we're going to add some of these here. We're going to chop them up a little bit and put some of these oil and brine-soaked olives as well into our Greek burger. So we take a little bit of this feta here, not too much, about that much. Chop it up real quick. Sometimes you buy feta and it's soaking in brine, but I bought the dry stuff. Just like that. Let me take enough to make one burger. About that. Now if you go to a famous international restaurant and get a 1/4 pounder, they give you 4 ounces of meat. Generally when I make a burger at home, I usually a little more. That's about 6 ounces right there. And then I'm going to just take this. Now if I were smart about this, fans, I would have used pre-pitted olives, but I didn't. I used the olives with the pits, and now I'm stuck doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I hate to waste these very delicious olives. And I got the variety pack, so there's some green ones. There's a black olive. Black olives being right. All nice and marinated with oil. Also known as Greek olives. That's enough for the one burger. Let me chop that olive up a little bit more. This is going to be really good. Now you could attempt to somehow put these ingredients inside the middle, but I don't think it works very well. I know, because I tried it. I thought I'd try something new and I gave it a whirl, but it didn't work too well. I think better off is to take your 6 or so ounces of ground beef and just try to work that stuff right in there, like that. Now when we're frying that on our charcoal, it's going to be nice. I'm not one of those people that believes in a medium rare hamburger. I just think that if you're cooking a burger, you need to go with at least medium well. Now you don't want to overcook it, just like any meat, but you definitely want it cooked, because you want to kind of prevent any kind of foodborne illness. But there it is. There's a nice, what I call a Greek burger. Notice how when I press it down, I create kind of an oval. And the reason I do that is when I take my spatula and pick it off my cutting board, in this direction it becomes more round again. See, watch. See how it rounds right out. And now it's more or less a circle. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's not too bad either. So that one goes right there. And there's the first of our ethnic burgers that we created from this base of onion, of red onion and regular burger. The second one here, we got some nice blue cheese right here. We're going to call this a French burger because it's blue cheese. I kind of invented this one. So let me see if I can take some of this already ground blue cheese. Not too. It's about enough. Like so, to the side. Take another 6 ounces of my onion and burger mix. Oop, I gotta work this in. Work in this blue cheese. And any fan of blue cheese will tell you that it's very pungent, very aromatic, very tasty. Just so French, I guess. Just so blue cheese. Alright, there we go. We're gonna make a nice oval again. Like that. Take our spatula and we push like so and it'll become rounder as we go. And there it is. And there's another one. I'll try to keep track. And then for our third one, we have some shredded Asiago, which is a nice Italian cheese. So we're gonna call this an Italian burger. And we will, I think I need to do that. Oh, there we go. I'll take some of this. About that much. Oh, nice and dry and very zesty, very full of flavor. You know what? I'm gonna make this one big. This is the rest of my burger here. And I got about a 10-ounce burger right here. This is for man-sized appetite in Mantown. And we're gonna put all of this in there. Very zesty. There we go. Roll that in a little bit. When this thing comes off the grill, it's gonna smell and taste very good. And it will cook very nice, a nice medium well at least, maybe almost well, not overcooked, but don't undercook a burger. I got a big one here. Look at that. Very nice. It's almost a steak. Okay, here we go. Turn around. Oh, it did, sort of. Okay, there's our third one right there. So those we're going to also cook along with our pork ribs, and they're going to give our meat eating guests something else that they can char on while they're being entertained at my house. And we'll throw those also on the charcoal grill. We'll probably put the rolls for them, the Kaiser rolls, which I purchased, on the gas grill just to toast them off at the same time and save some grill space on the other one. And they'll be good as well. And so we'll be right back. Alright, here we are cooking with Max in Southbridge, and we're preparing a whole ton of meat and other things, including corn, to cook on a nice charcoal grill. And of course, to do that, you need a charcoal grill. So why don't we go outside and start that thing up right now? When I was growing up, we didn't have gas grills. We had charcoal grills, and they were really cool. Except for one thing, it usually took them about an hour, hour and a half to heat up. And then they made this wonderful improvement where they started the soaking process with the lighter fluid beforehand, and you just bought it and you didn't need to spritz it with lighter fluid, and it heated up a lot quicker, which is what I purchased for today's Cooking with Max show. And as you can see here, I've got my charcoal all lined up, and you see I put it in a nice pile off to one side. And the reason you do that is because it's easier to light and it'll warm up quicker. And according to the packet, this will be ready to cook in 10 minutes, but we're going to give it a little longer than that because we don't want any of that lighter fluid essence or smell going into our delicious meats that we made already. We're probably going to let it cook off for about 45 minutes until those charcoals are nice and white and hot too, because the charcoal fire burns just so hot. So here we go. We're going to light this thing up right now with a long stick. Hopefully it's as advertised and you don't need to add any lighter fluid. Oh, there it goes. Started pretty easy. You know, as I stand here, I can smell that lighter fluid on it. So it is in there. Oh, that one went out. There it goes. Let me do something like that. There, we got a nice little fire started. And we'll just let this burn in that thing. When it's all done burning like that, when it's all started to burn very, very well, we'll spread it out so it's nice and even again, so that when we're cooking, we have a nice even surface. And just like with a regular gas grill, you can maintain the heat off to one side if you want to bake your product by having it off to one side. But none of today's recipes call for any kind of grill baking like that. It's just searing on the charcoal that we want. So we're going to spread those things out evenly, and they burn very hot. And so you don't need to have too big of a pile too close to your grill. And we'll spread them off nice and evenly on the bottom there, and they'll do the job for our ribs and our burgers and our corn. Hi everyone, we're back with Cooking with Max in Southbridge, and the next part of our delicious summertime fare today is going to be corn on the cob. And to do that, we're going to take a nice husked corn on the cob, like you see, a very local product that you know of many ways and many places that you can buy, and it's so fresh and sweet and good. And we're going to cook it on the grill, and we're going to do it just like this. We're going to take our kitchen scissors and cut off the top part, that part that's a bit on the wilted side, not quite as pretty as the rest. We'll put that off to the side. That can go in our compost too. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel back the husk, like so. Try to preserve it if I can. And get to the corn in the middle. And the reason why we have to do that, well, there's a few reasons. One reason is, once we get in there, we're going to take out that silt, which, as you all know, is that nice golden colored hair looking stuff that is on the outside of the actual corn part that we eat. So we got to get rid of that. And there it is, as you see. Now it's coming into view. We'll pull back the rest and we'll get it back just far enough to get that stuff out. And there it is. It's not going to kill you if it's on there, but it'll burn if you cook it. And we never eat it, do we? When we eat corn, we eat that part only. We don't eat the silk. So that's coming off like that as part of our recipe for grilled corn. And this, like I said, is local corn, so delicious. We're going to whip up a few. Now I've done as much as I can by hand. Let me get rid of that. That goes to the compost. Nice organic material. And I'm going to run this under cold water and get rid of a little more of it. Down like so. You see, I'm trying to keep the husk part on it, at least the clean part. And there we go. Now I'm done like so. Now, I'm going to take a dry dish towel and tamp this corn down so that it's dry again. We just rinsed it off and I want to dry it before I go on with my recipe. I'm going to do it like that and make it nice and dry. See if I can gently tamp those a little bit as well. Okay, now I've got a dry corn there, and it's not done yet though for Cooking with Max. We'll take that corn and we're going to put a little bit of Cajun spice seasoning on it, which is based in a nice chili powder, which is hot. And we'll put just a bit of that on there, just like so. Not too much, because you don't want anybody launching for the moon at your summertime party. That, and then also we'll take a little bit of fresh powder pepper, some there, like so, some like that, and that's enough too. We don't need a whole ton of that. And then for the final ingredient on this new kind of corn that we're going to make for our guests here, we're going to take a piece of thinly sliced bacon, like so, and we're going to wrap this around our corn. And now, is this interesting or what, huh? We're going to put this all the way around. We don't want any of that in there, obviously. And I'm going to follow it around the track, like that. Try to extend it out a little bit. And there it is. That's going to be part of our recipe as well. Now, I'm going to try to guide this stuff back up like that. Not too difficult. Tuck that bacon right underneath of that husk, like I'm doing here. And then put it back into its place, like so. Now, to hold that into place, I've got some 12 by 12 cut pieces of aluminum over here that I've already prepared ahead of time. I'll take one of these, and I'm going to take my creation, my concoction, my summertime treat here in Southbridge, Mass, the Eye of the Commonwealth, and I'm going to wrap it right in there. Oh, wait a minute, before I do that, I think I'll do something else here. You know this thing here, I call this the handle, but I don't think we need quite that much of it on our thing. We'll give our diner that much to hold on to. Okay, there it is. I'm going to wrap it in our aluminum foil like this. Crimp that over. And that's it. What you do with that thing is, you got it like so. You're going to put this on your grill for about 15 minutes, and you're going to turn it frequently so it doesn't burn on one side. And then after that, you're going to pull it off and you're going to let it set for 20 minutes, and then it's going to be done. So you'll cook this first because your meat doesn't take as long, and it'll give this time to set before, and your meal will all come together at the same time. So there's one. We'll just do a few more. back with Cooking with Max, and we've got our corn in hand, and it's all wrapped in the aluminum after we put all our stuff on it and got it prepared for the grill. But speaking of the grill, right now, as you can see, our charcoals are getting nice and white hot, and they're still in their pile, but I'm going to use this thing right here to spread them out a bit. Look at all that nice heat there. Isn't that pretty? And you don't need, anybody who remembers back to the day when this is all you had, you don't need a ton of these. These things are incredibly hot. Very much so. Hotter, I think, than a propane grill. And there we go. We put our cover back on now. Like so. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. Oh, I don't want to burn myself. Just like so. Whoop. Alright, there we go. Alright, there we go. Now, we're going to put our corn on there, like it said, for 15 minutes. Turning often. Just like this. And if we put this cover on, it's really going to cook it rather hot. So I think what I'm going to do is leave it open for now and see how that goes. And it's nice and cinched in there, but it's very warm, and we'll turn it often and we'll pay attention to it, and we'll see how this goes as part of our meal, and then we'll put our meat on afterward. Alright everyone, we've given our corn an opportunity to cook on there for 15 minutes now, and it's good and warm and bubbly, and I can hear it cooking in that aluminum foil. And per our recipe, we take it off of there now. Ow, it's hot. And we're going to let it set for 20 minutes, which gives us ample opportunity to cook up this meat now and close in on our entertainment spectacle here on Cooking with Max. So we'll put this one off to the side and get back to our grill. Alright, straight away back onto our white hot charcoals here. We're going to put our big beautiful 4-pound piece of already cooked, already prepared pork ribs, and look at that big beauty. And this is going to be 8 minutes aside. Now I'm going to close the cover on this one because I want all that flavor to kind of saturate back in there. We'll put that like so. And in the meantime, while that's cooking, over here on our gas grill, in order to save a little time, we're going to cook those ethnic burgers that we talked about earlier. We're going to put those on right now. And here's that Italian burger with the Asiago cheese that we put together earlier. And here's that French burger, which is nothing more than blue cheese and the cut up red onion. And here is the Greek burger that's got that cut up nice oil-soaked olives that we chopped up and the feta cheese to make it Greek. And we put those on there at the same time that our nice pork ribs are cooking over here. And we'll get those going at the same time. Now also, I cut up some nice Kaiser rolls that I picked up fresh at the Bunny today. And I like them toasted on my grill. So I've got this nice spare space here. I'm going to do that while those burgers are cooking. And those burgers aren't going to take very long. And neither is this bread. So we'll get those going at the same time. I'll close this for just a second. Alright, and as predicted, the rolls didn't take very long, and they're nice, crispy brown on our grill, as you can see. And we'll pull those off now, ahead of our burgers, because we don't want those to burn. Whoop. We'll give our burgers a nice quarter turn, so that they get nice and cooked nice and evenly, just like that. Whoop. Now I've had this grill on high. Here's that big one we made with more meat in it. Remember the last one that had the most meat? I'm going to pull that down too. I had it on high, but now I'm going to turn this grill down a little bit to about a medium low. Let that meat coast in now. Put it in the middle where it's not getting as much direct heat. And it'll cook nice and evenly, and all those delicious ingredients will come out the same texture and so forth. Alright, we're a little further down in our cooking adventure. Some time has passed. And look at our nice burgers. You see how the juice is coming up over the top? You know when you see that on a burger that it's about ready to turn over. Ah, isn't that pretty? Alright, this guy over here, as I remember, this was the Greek one. Here's the big old Italian one with the Asiago cheese and the red onions. Look at that beauty. Nice, nice, nice. Leave them like so. We'll close that cover again. It's on low, so we'll let them bake a little bit. We want them to cook all the way through, but we don't want to burn them. And it's been about 7 minutes on our big old 4-pound piece of pork rib that's supposed to fall off the bone. And we'll check in on that guy too, because our recipe calls us for us to turn it at 8 minutes. And so I'm looking at this and it looks close enough. Those nice hot grills. We're going to pick this thing up as best we can. Yep, nice and warm. Turn it over. Oh, isn't that pretty? Isn't that just nice and beautiful? I'm going to close this up again. And we'll check in again in about 8 minutes and see how that's coming along as well. Alright, now our ethnic burgers ought to be just about done. And we take a look and oh, there they are. Very nicely looking good. Looking very well cooked and nice and done. See the onion poking out of this one. This is that Italian one. You can see little bits of that Asiago cheese that's melted up and just deliciousness out there like a little volcano of cheese. Here's the French one with the blue cheese. And this here is the Greek one that's got that, look at that feta cheese just coming out of there nicely. It's all nice and done, and your friends are going to eat this up, and they're going to love it, and so are you. All right, well, our big piece of 4-pound pork ribs is still cooking away, and it still has a little time left to cook. And oh, a nice smoky flavor just going right in there. And to save a little time, I'm going to take these parboiled ribs that we made before, the ones we cut up, and they're going to share a little space on this grill. These are essentially cooked, and they want to get nice and hot on this charcoal. Try to keep a little separation between them so they don't catch the same flavor. And let's close those in there and let those cook too. They need about 6-7 minutes total, and the last 2 or so with some of that glaze that we made on top of them, that cooks in there as well. Alright, well here we are back, and our piece of 4-pound pork rib has been cooking away, and it's about done now. And we closed the cover to let it smoke a bit. Oh, look at that beautiful smoke. Look at that beautiful, nice, big piece of rib. See, we tucked in our cut pieces there, and that we're going to put our glaze on in a minute. But the first thing we're going to do is take this beauty right off of there. And I clean this off. We're just going to put it right back on the same one that we brought it out on. And cut it up when we're in the house. I'll move these over while we're here. And these are about ready to get their glaze. But let me put this big piece of pork roast ribs into the kitchen. And I'll be back to tend to those in just 1 second. Alright, now we're back. We've got our cut ribs and they're smoking away. Woo! In that nice charcoal. And look at them, and they're ready now to receive that glaze, and we'll get them all ready to go. You know, we did put just a little bit of charcoal in there, and it was so good that we did, because you really can't adjust charcoal. Once you start with it, you're stuck with that temperature, and we went with a nice low to medium and an intense heat, but not all the way to the top where you'd have just torched this stuff and it would have turned into leather. But anyway, we've got that now, and that glaze we made earlier with the dark molasses, the honey, the brown sugar, the sesame seeds, which you can still see on top, and the ginger for the spice and taste of Asia. And oh, isn't that nice and thick, huh? Look at that. It's like thick Mississippi mud. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Nice and sweet. All right, our meat's ready for us. And you're just gonna dollop this right on there like that. Just try to get it on the meaty portion. You don't really need to put it on the bone, because you ain't eating the bone. But see, like that? Nice on there. It's gonna blend with that meat and that charcoal flavor, and it's going to give it a little more juiciness. and certainly a ton more flavor. And there you go, like that. And I just use my spoon. You could use a lot of people like to brush this kind of stuff on their meat, but this stuff is so thick that you really are better off just dollop it on there with your spoon. So now we leave that on top like that. I'm going to let that bake in for 45 seconds maybe, and then we're going to turn it and just let it crisp on the other side for another 45 seconds and do the top, turn it back and crisp it again, and then that bad boy is just ready for eating along with all the other stuff that we made today. Alright, it had a chance to bake in. Now we're going to turn him over and let him cook real good and sear and crispy on the other side. Look at that bubbling, nice, tasty meat. These are good too. We got so much food for our friends. Alright, real quick with it. Dollop them on the meat. Skip the bone, you don't need the bone. Just like that. Just like that. And a little more down here. And it is a little bit of work, but your guests will love it. Nice and sweet, along with meaty. And cover it up and let it steam and cook at the same time for about a minute or two. We'll twirl it one more time and crisp that part we just put on, and like I said, off it comes. Back to our concoction. We got to keep a close eye on it because we don't want anything to burn. Oh, isn't that nice? All right, let's twirl them again. Pretty. Look at that, huh? It's not burning. Oh, but look at that little. Nice, nice, nice. We'll put this guy like so. Oop. Don't even think about it. Just stand like that. Oop. Don't even think you're gonna get away from me. Moving toward the middle. It appears the middle is cooking a little hotter. Put this guy over there too. Alright, we'll close him up a little bit longer. Let him crisp some more. Alright, our ribs are probably just about done right now. There you can see from the smoking of our little char-broiler that they're coming right along, and oh, they're very pretty. Look at that. You see the sesame seeds on top? I just love those. And those things are fully cooked. And the inside part that's moist in those are just boiling over. And they're going to be so, so good. So we're going to take that off. Look at that beauty. Very nice. We're going to put more on, and we'll have our guests look in on them if we want, because most men like to cook if somebody else does most of the work. But these are all done now. Look at those coals, by the way. You've got probably 3 more hours left that you could use them for something else. And we may well do that because we got a lot of food. But here's our ribs, and this is the final step in our meal, and we'll take it all inside and put it together right now. Alright everyone, well that's just about everything we have to cook today, and it's all laid out here in front of us. And we've got our ribs, we've got our ethnic burgers, we got our big old shtuk of meat right here, we got our delicious corn, and I can't wait to open it up and find out if it's any good. We've got our toasted buns, and anybody of your guests that wants something extra, they can take a little slice of our red onion and pop that on a burger or whatever they like. I got some pickles I found on the sale rack at Big Bunny for $1.50, so I couldn't help but grab those nice dill slices. I got the leftover remnants of our cut up to make a Greek burger mixed soaked olives that people just love, and they can dig on these too, although they have pits, but that'll just give them something to do. And then, you know what, if somebody's feeling exotic, they can sprinkle Asiago cheese on almost any of this stuff and it'll be good. But anyway, that's it. Let's prepare a plate. I'm going to start right here with this corn because I can't wait to see how this thing came out. And it had a chance to rest for 20 minutes while we cooked our meat, and look at it now. It's nice. I'll get rid of that aluminum. It'll go into the recycling bin. And look at that bacon and how that cooked in there nice like that. We'll take that bacon off. We'll peel off this husk now that helped to cook this beautiful piece of corn, and it is nice and done just as promised. And there's that more bacon, and that's fully cooked, and that'll be off to the side for someone. And then we're going to take a nice little, without making my hands too messy, a nice little pork rib for our diner. And here we're going to take a serrated knife now and cut our way through this bit of rib here that is fully cooked, and look at how easily that cuts. And you've got a beautiful piece of that rib for all your guests, and all your cavemen Mantown friends can grab a big old stick of that, and you know they're going to love that. And that's got that chipotle flavor soaked all the way through, and that is just good, and it is so tender. So we get a piece of that too for our friends. We'll put that on there. We have our toasted roll. Geez, we're running out of room for our pasta salad, but we have to make room for it. In any event, we'll take our nice, this is the Italian one with the Asiago. We'll make a nice burger for everybody. Beautiful with a little ketchup, steaming hot. And then last but not least, we have our beautiful, fully colored pasta salad, which was in the fridge until just a minute ago, and it's nice and cold. And seeing as how I ran out of room on my plate, I'm just gonna go ahead and get another little bowl here and a nice spoon and get a nice serving of this for my guests too. And look at that, doesn't that look delicious? And in case your friends are worried about health, it's got beautiful vitamin C laden red onions, and it's got florets of broccoli that just everybody's mother knows are just so good for you. And of course those peppers have vitamin C as well. And so there you go. Well, I just can't lay a salad out like that without putting some ground pepper on it. It's just against my nature. So I gotta do that too. And so everyone, a good day's work in the kitchen and outside on the grill with our charcoal griller. And a nice feast for your friends, and plenty of it. And bon appetit. Find the ledge between the bones, and you can buy them already cut. You can buy country ribs too, but I think that these pork ribs on the bone like this are just the best. This guy's not cooperating, as you can see, so I've got right here his big friend. The knife's a big friend, and maybe he can help things along too. But today here, I don't know where Mike.
No, that's okay because.
You got it.